Hi, guys. Welcome back. The CEO killer, they've given him a new nickname, the Adjuster. And apparently he left some Monopoly in a backpack. Maybe he left some Funyuns too. Let's find out.
TikTok that said that they found a man who killed or assassinated the CEO backpack, and when they found it, it had Monopoly money in it. Just think of all the meanings of that. I just keep thinking like this man said, I'm targeting capitalism, and then he used Monopoly as a further statement of that.
Mind blown. Next.
So, monopoly money. They found monopoly money in the assassin or the adjuster. I hear they're calling him the adjuster in his backpack. And I think I need to know exactly how much monopoly money. I mean to the dollar. Now, some news stations are mentioning the monopoly money and some are not. There was also a jacket. I don't know the significance of the jacket, but I can tell you that every single thing that they have on him, he left for them. So, good luck finding him.
The plot thickens. If you think he will be found, let us know down below. If you think they'll never see him again, share that too.
He had Monopoly money in his backpack, okay? They had a look-alike contest. Ben Shapiro tried to say the crazy leftists are celebrating the murder of the CEO, and he is getting roasted. CEOs are taking down their LinkedIn pages. Companies are removing the names and pictures of executives off their website. And the news is acting like it's some big mystery that people are fed up with their health insurance. People sharing stories about loved ones being denied life-saving care. People being denied procedures and medicine that would drastically improve their quality of life. People are fed up and they're tired of being told that they're not allowed to have anything. A lot of us are one medical emergency, one car accident away from poverty. And we're just supposed to go to work every day and act like that's normal. People are tired. They want to feel like they're working towards something. You used to be able to work hard and save up for a house or save up for your vacation or save up for this or that, and that's off the table for a lot of people. So there are a lot of people asking, what's the point of it all? I pay for health insurance, but I can't use it. My car's gonna break down, I can't fix it. I don't make enough to get approved for a mortgage. At least when it was called a rat race, there was an implication that there was an end goal. Eventually, you get to the end where you get the things that you've been working for. But that's becoming less and less of a reality for a lot of people. So when they finally see someone stick it to somebody in that 1%, yeah, people got a little wound up. And I think that's scaring a lot of people that also sit atop that ivory tower.
What do you guys think of that? Do you think CEOs are shaking in their boots? And do you agree with him that CEOs are taking their name and picture off of the old company website?
They have upped the reward for the unaliver of the CEO of United Healthcare to $60,000. Now, they did find his backpack in Central Park, and guess what they found? Monopoly money. They found Monopoly money in this guy's backpack in a jacket. I don't know, guys. I feel like this is a ruse, and they are absolutely playing in the investigators' faces. Or NYPD is not telling us all the information that they have. But why would they come and say that they found Monopoly money and not tell us that, okay, well, we found fingerprints?
So check this out. You see all these different pictures that we're slowly seeing of him, and there's that one where his mask is lowered. I saw this comment here, and I'll put it on the screen, where it looks like some other people are starting to notice what I did, where I'm kind of wondering if these are lookalikes and not necessarily the person. Also, one day he's got a black jacket hoodie, the next day he's got a navy blue puffer jacket hoodie, and then sometimes he's got a navy green fabric hoodie. I'm not sure they're the same person at all. Are you?
So listen, I'm in bed today. I'm not feeling super good this weekend, but I am having the time of my life scrolling TikTok. So let's talk about Monopoly money, because the creator of Monopoly was a woman, a radical feminist. Like the game was supposed to be a critique of like monopolies and capitalism and stuff. The Monopoly money in the backpack is just chef's kiss. I don't know if I'm going to make any like other videos except for this one because I can't get off of TikTok and stop scrolling conspiracy theories. It was Primo TV today.
It's almost as if the killer really wants to sell everybody on the idea that this is just him being upset about claims that are denied to people, when we all know deep down that killers usually don't care about people. Are we all being fooled?
Okay, y'all. So the backpack found in Central Park that they believe to be the killer of the CEO of United Healthcare had a jacket, a Tommy Hilfiger jacket, and it had Monopoly money in it. Not only did the shell casing say refuse, deny, depose, that they found, which is an excerpt from a book written in 2010 about how to basically fight insurance companies on denied claims. But they've also, United Healthcare has been accused of being a monopoly. And so with the monopoly money, I was thinking, I think that backpack was left there as a clue. And who was it that said United Healthcare was a monopoly? United Healthcare CEOs, including Brian Thompson, were being investigated by the Department of Justice for alleged insider trading. They sold a lot of stocks that affected the largest retirement fund in California, as well as firefighter pensions, but they had been accused by the Department of Justice for running a monopoly. So I'm thinking that his death was a y'all better keep quiet type of thing. And they were dropping hints, not only on the shell casing, but with the monopoly money.
I knew that Tommy Hilfiger always looked guilty. What do you guys think the Tommy Hilfiger jacket means? I remember about 10 years ago, I saw a video where Tommy Hilfiger was saying that if you get jeans, never wash them, because I guess when you wash them, it kind of changes their form and their crease and stuff. And who knows, maybe his jacket means dirty monopoly money. Yeah, probably not.
So now they're saying that the suspect that was wanted for unaliving the United Healthcare CEO left his backpack in the parking lot. I'm not in the parking lot. He left it in the park at Central Park. See, he did that for a reason. And the reason was to show you how everything is so monopolized, right?
Okay.
That's why I never did like playing that game Monopoly. And I don't like playing it on my phone neither. Cause it constantly shows you like people as workers. You work a 9 to 5, you get paid, you get a check, whether you get paid a week or every 2 weeks. You pay your light bill, that money is taken out your account. You pay your water bill, that money is taken out your account. You pay your Netflix bill, that money is taken out your account. You have all these different bills and it's all these different entities, all these different companies. You just going around the board. Every month you paying them, and the money going into the company, making the CEO rich. So I just feel like that was a way of him saying like everything is monopolized. Everything at the top is the one that get all the money. They call all the big shots. So for everybody that didn't understand why he left the monopoly money in a bag, that is the reason.
She undid her seatbelt and she's driving and it's beeping every 10 seconds. I don't want her to get in an accident and I want that beeping to stop.
Come on, y'all. This is 2024. Use your brain. Use your brain. But that's all I had to see. If y'all have any more questions,
I do. Can you please put your seatbelt on? Thank you.
Well, the Monopoly money was a surprise. A beautiful, beautiful surprise. But jacket inside. Now, I've been thinking this to myself for a few days, but who wants to point out to anybody that, of course, there was a change of clothing in the backpack? This person knew what they were doing. And I don't say that meaning that they were professional or something, but this person knew that they were there to do what they were there to do. They knew what they were doing. And understood its consequences, and probably accepted the possibility of getting caught, but is probably pretty amazed that they're not just yet, you know?
You knew what he knew, then you would know what I know he knows. You know?
They found the backpack of the dude who pew Brian Thompson, the United Healthcare CEO. But the story slash this event that's happening has gotten deeper. Now it's being reported that they found Monopoly money inside the backpack.
Get out.
I don't know if this dude is doing all of this to build it. I don't know what, but it's just sounding interesting. I was going to use the word strange, but it's sounding very interesting. What do you dudes think the reasoning behind having Monopoly money in the backpack is? Could it just be random? Was he playing Monopoly the night before and say, you know what? I'm tired of losing. I'm crashing out. And just went and did this? Nah, it can't be, right? Also, I'm seeing footage that showed that the pew happened around 6:44, and dude was already by the park by 6:45. That's less than a minute to get from where he was to the park.
It's almost like he's one of them UFO drones. He can go from point A to point B in the blink of an eye, and he can change the color of his coat at the same time. Okay, this one looks like she has something profound and very important to say.
I just have to say, the fact that it took the NYPD days to find something that they were meant to find. That backpack was left for them to find. It has Monopoly money. It's giving incompetent, but for the shooter, it's giving...
I notice everybody is on the shooter's side now. It's a sad state of affairs, but it is what it is. Let's talk about it. Go get your shoes. Let's go for a walk. Good morning, Venters. CEO Brian Thompson from United Healthcare was deleted the other day by a gentleman that we're trying to find all around the country. And I loosely use the word gentleman because I don't necessarily see him as a hero, but it sounds like more than half the people in this country at least do, which I find fascinating in and of itself. They found a backpack, and supposedly, guys, this backpack was loaded with Monopoly money. Eric Adams goes before the news reporters and he says that they've identified the man, but he says it in such a way that leads one to believe that he probably has done everything but identified the man. One thing that I believe, before we get into some comments here, is I believe there's a mystery to be solved, and I believe we can eliminate some stuff just by using our walking minds. And what I mean by that is, I read a lot, or at least I used to read a lot, and one of the things that you start to discover when you read is that you really are reading a person's mind, that person being the author of a book. One of my favorite authors was Jules Verne, and one of his characters that was a bad guy in some of his books was Robur the Conqueror, also known as the Master of the World. Sometimes it's not an alien out there that's doing crazy things. Sometimes it's a mad scientist or just a weird genius. And sometimes they try to throw you off in every way, shape, and form. So anyway, this Monopoly money, when we get to the comments, some people thought it meant one thing, which it very much could be. But when you're dealing with a master of deception and potentially a master of disguise, he could just want you to believe those things. So since we're all venters here, and since we all like to use our noggin, and since many of us walk, and since it's my contention that when we're walking, we are at our absolute best when it comes to strategizing, then why don't we see if we can kind of eliminate some things and find this killer before they actually do publicly. Now, I'm not advocating let's get together and actually find this guy. What I'm saying is let's strategize about this a little bit more, because not everything is so cut and dry. Why would you mention to somebody that you know the guy's name and his identity, but then don't announce it publicly because you're afraid that you're going to spook him, when in reality just saying you know him would spook him? So it leads me to believe that Eric Adams probably doesn't know him at all, And that's probably by design. You know that picture of supposedly the guy with his mask down? That was probably done by somebody he paid to look like him. And I bet the only type of images we have from this guy are probably from the side, where you can't get much of a view even with the help of computers, because this guy is so smart, he probably knows the weaknesses of the cameras. And like I said, I just have a funny feeling he plotted this the whole way. My contention when we get to the end of this is that the Monopoly was just a game for him, and hopefully I'll be able to explain it in a fun way. So Catherine Coker says, LMAO, yesterday NYPD said the backpack was a gold mine, only to find Monopoly money. So I think it could have been a gold mine if you're trying to get DNA, but let's be honest, I think this guy was probably smart enough not to leave a single trace of DNA. And even if he did leave some DNA, this is the type of guy that might be such a good criminal that a lot of times he probably gets other people with their DNA to do a lot of stuff. Kind of like how bad guys do in movies we watch, like Jigsaw. Why do the bad stuff when you can get actors to do it for you? I just have a feeling we're dealing with somebody whose heroes are probably from the movies, like the Joker and like Jigsaw from the Saw series. What if some guy fooled the world into thinking that he was some sort of hero, and the way he did it was to find a victim that he might not even know, but if he finds the perfect victim that absolutely nobody can love and nobody can like, and if he throws a backpack out there with money so that it looks like, hey, this UHC, this United Healthcare, they own not only the big pharma, they own not only the hospital, but they also own the insurance on this. And oh, by the way, along with people getting screwed, so do the providers like the doctors and the surgeons. Nobody seems to get paid except these executives. Well, right when people start to hear that, what happens? We start to get angry. We start to sympathize with the murderer, and we start to look at the victim as the bad guy. And this guy's smart enough to know that he might have just found the perfect random victim. Notice I said random there. This Brian Thompson guy seems like the perfect guy for everybody to hate, even though none of us have ever met the guy. I'd be willing to bet that our supervillain here is probably a walker. Instead of thinking about solutions that help solve his problems in life, he probably thinks of evil things to do that he can get away with. He's a supervillain wannabe. He wants you to think of people like the Joker and Jigsaw when you think of him. And if he's ever caught, we will equate him to one of those characters. But because he watched so many of those movies, more than likely, he probably keyed in on what was their thing that foiled them. What was their problem that made them get caught? And at Starry Eyes says he could legitimately be in another country by now. He could be, but he's got such a big ego. I wouldn't be surprised if he was still in the city limits. I mean, technically speaking, New York has the amount of people that some small countries have anyway. As a matter of fact, it has more of a population than some small countries. And he knows deep down in his heart that Eric Adams has absolutely no idea what he looks like. And don't be surprised if those pictures we already have are of people that were just dressed up to look like him. Kind of think back to the I'm Slim Shady video by Eminem. Remember in that video, it was literally hundreds and thousands of people that looked just like Eminem, the white guy with the blonde hair. Well, think about it. They're looking for a 6-foot-tall white guy that wears a hoodie in New York City. That sounds like about 250,000 people. What do you think? At Kyle TMCN says, if they're afraid of spooking him, why are they announcing that they have identified him? Eric Adams has serious credibility issues. I look at whatever Eric Adams says and just assume the opposite. he doesn't know anything about them. And because he doesn't know anything about the bad guy, he's hoping that by saying something, it'll actually spook the guy out into public where he'll make a mistake. What Eric Adams is really saying is that the man has not made a single mistake as of yet. That's what I'm getting in my gut. Tell me if you guys think Eric Adams is being honest and he does know who the man is, or it could be one of these half-truths. They might actually know who the man is in that picture, and that guy in that picture might actually be innocent and just have been, you know, kind of put up for the slaughter, so to speak, by the actual bad guy. Because that's what my gut is telling me. That guy that we're seeing, the picture of his face, that guy is being framed. That's what I think. I don't think that's the actual guy. Sick Vic says, why is there a manhunt when the criminal is already deceased? The criminal not being the bad guy, but the CEO, Brian Thompson, who got deleted. Now, guys, this is what the bad guy was hoping for. He was hoping to be judged by the public. And the public is being very loud in saying that he's not a bad guy, he's a hero. But here's the thing. I have a funny suspicion that this has absolutely nothing to do with United Healthcare. By the way, I've heard that a lot of different companies, if you look up their CEOs online right now, I don't know if you guys have heard this or not, but apparently a lot of them are kind of going into hiding and they don't want people to have access to the identity of their CEOs, and they don't want them to know what they look like or what their office number or email is. And it's not just United Healthcare. I hear it's happening from a lot of companies. So maybe this guy wanted to make it look like it's going to be this big thing where everybody wants to take out CEOs. And again, it's just theater, because this guy is just guilty of sin of killing this guy. Probably had nothing to do with insurance at all. The very next person here, at Pickle Pick Topiclue, says, I hope they never get him. So right there, that just tells me the bad guy's idea won the day. One of the famous things that a lot of Christians will say is that one of the greatest tricks the devil ever pulled off was convincing the man that he never existed or that he didn't exist. And that's what this bad guy is literally doing in front of all of us. He's convincing you that the bad guy never existed, and if there was a bad guy in this equation, it's Brian Thompson, and he's already long gone. Isn't that easy, how easy it is to convince people that are probably very intelligent, very smart, down-to-earth people, and just by telling them a couple key clues, all of a sudden you're their hero. Isn't that kind of crazy how we're like that? My handwriting was so bad on this one. I think it says ABTD 5UM. Says, how is the quote-unquote net tightening while the search is expanding nationwide? You know, I think that's one of those things where sometimes we want answers from the authorities so quickly. We want to know that all these taxes we pay goes for something special, and that one of these million cameras they have out there to give us parking tickets and to give us speeding tickets, we want to know that one of those magical cameras is going to give us answers, and we want those answers now. And sometimes people are so rushed to give you answers, they end up telling you a whole bunch of nothing. And I think that's what Eric Adams and company have on this guy, a whole bunch of nothing, because the one thing this guy did right was he was proactive and he planned this out to a T. He was probably a walker, and he probably logged hundreds of miles through that park just to kind of see if he could get away with this. And you could actually do it virtually. You don't even have to go to that park. I bet you there's 1 million people via TikTok and YouTube that walk through that park with cameras, and he probably can check out those different videos on TikTok and YouTube. He's probably their #1 viewer. And when he's not doing that, he's watching movies like The Joker and like Jigsaw with the Saw movies. And he's looking for all the positives that those people did in those movies, because let's face it, he sounds like a supervillain, right? But the difference between the movies is he has no intention of ever going to jail, right? Because it's not like people want to fail in this. So his game plan is to get public opinion to be on his side, and he's hoping that ultimately the public will make it where this stops, because we just see how evil these United Healthcare type insurance companies can be. By the way, the monopoly could mean a number of things. Their monopoly could mean that now they own the pharma side, now they've taken over the hospital side, and they've always owned the insurance side. Guys, that's a monopoly, yes. And that sounds like a great reason to kill somebody, right? But the reality is that would also be a great reason for us to think that the person deserved what he got, when in reality, this guy could just be a cold, calculated killer. And if he ever thought you were hitting on his girl, he would take your life. And if he ever didn't like the way you looked at him, he would take your life. And those aren't the type of people that are doing things for the righteous. Those are the type of people that have a kernel of evil in them and the ego the size of Texas. And I'm telling you, this guy is so smart, he's gotten the public to fall in love with him. And I bet you are the type that if I would have told you a week or two ago about this, I bet you would have said, I would never fall in love with the bad guy. But look how easy it is to fall in love with the bad guy. Now, in a movie, what would happen is the bad guy would actually already be on to me because I'm on to him, and he would have had that Mickey Mouse say, come here, and then he would have shot me through the Mickey Mouse. Guys, I'm telling you, I think this is a great experiment at how easy it is for people to get fooled into rooting for the wrong side. I find it fascinating because it's like everybody and their mother's already on this guy's side, and it is straight out of a movie, but the movie is not the guy trying to be the Joker in real life. The movie is how we as people start to follow the evil cult leader, and we do it over and over again, even though we think we would never be fooled by such people. As a matter of fact, this is what Shui Franglais says. Shui Franglais says, straight out of a crime novel, this guy is obviously prepared to be locked up for the rest of his life to prove his case. It takes a certain type. Yeah, it's called he's fooling you. And he doesn't have any intention of ever getting caught. And right now he's 3 or 4 moves ahead. And that's why Eric Adams is hoping that he can spook him out so he makes an actual mistake. Because as of right now, he hasn't made any mistakes. I want you guys to Google Robur, R-O-B-U-R, the Conqueror. Robur the Conqueror was the arch villain in a lot of Jules Verne's books. Whenever Jules Verne saw something weird like drones in the sky, right? Or bad guys doing weird things that seemed impossible, he always just assumed somebody had a breakthrough and there was some bad guy behind things. You want to know something? That's what it usually is. It's just a bad guy that's behind things. And sometimes they're so darn smart that they mystify and hypnotize us all. What was the lady spared for? And why aren't they talking about her? I haven't heard anybody talk about that lady. Did you guys do your homework and see any videos with that lady? There's a lady that was right there and she didn't get shot. And I think that was part of this theater plot too. If you have a person that doesn't get shot, it makes it look like you were specifically targeting this one guy. And I think he was specifically targeting this one guy, but I don't think it had anything to do with him being denied a claim or a family member of his being denied a claim. I think he was targeting this guy because in his super villain fetish that he has, it's very important that you get a guy that everybody dislikes. The world has already spoken on this. Think about this. What they've said really loud and clear is, we don't care if you catch him, and we're okay if you don't. Where have you ever in your life heard that? I've never heard that. Only the devil himself could get people to turn on their fellow man that quickly. By the way, odds are he's got plenty of money. So what that tells me is that while he wants you to hate this victim because the victim was rich, right? A CEO making 10 million a year, more than likely this guy comes from money or has saved up his money, and I'd be willing to bet he has enough food in his pantry to last him the next 3 or 4 years. He's probably got a small arsenal of not only guns, but knives and even trick weapons, novel weapons, if you will. He's really taking to his role. He really does want to be a supervillain. And I think you have to give it up. I think he fooled a lot of us. But with me, I'm never fooled. You're always a bad neighbor in my eyes. So just remember, this guy is a master of deception. And if you think back to that movie Saw, there was a part in the beginning where the bad guy said, "Would you like to play a game?" Right? So when you see the Monopoly in the backpack, is that him saying that, hey, this is metaphor for the company owning the pharmacy side of things, owning the hospital side of things, and owning the insurance side of things, so you're screwed on all three angles? And not only are you screwed, but the providers are. The very doctors have complained about not getting paid from United Healthcare, to the point where some of them had to close up shop and go out of business, file bankruptcy. So again, it could be that this guy is really upset at this monopoly, so he decided to take justice in his own hands, and now he's making a real life movie. Or it could be that he wants you to think that. And I think that based on the idea that he's a master of disguise and a master of deception, I think I'll take that answer. I don't think this has anything to do with United Healthcare. I think there's a million reasons for it to be that route. Notice that his wife and him were estranged. So if you were a guy that wanted to get away with murder and commit the perfect crime, you would also want to make sure that there's plenty of other people for them to check out first. I even was telling you the other day that in Dateline and ID and all the shows I've ever seen my whole entire life, it's almost always the spouse. So if you were a bad guy and you wanted to kill somebody, you would want somebody that everybody hates, and you would want somebody that has nothing but enemies, including their very own family members. Gosh darn it, if you're watching, bad guy, you're the only one, but still, I'm on to you. It's very important that this guy has you believe and know that he is smarter than you and me in every way, shape, or form. And I'd be willing to bet that he comes up with some really good world-class ideas while he's out and about the city taking walks. This guy probably took 3 or 4 years worth of walks and probably strategized. He probably is a master of public transportation. He probably knows exactly when a bus or a subway line is going to be able to pick him up. He could have very well had alternative bikes hidden, along with alternative clothes hidden throughout the park in areas that nobody ever goes because he knows that nobody's ever there. He could have slowly but surely found out about every business and where they had cameras. And it would have been very easy for him to literally buy people hoodies that looked just like him, knowing they would be out and about using those hoodies. I'm telling you, this guy is quickly becoming a Lifetime movie. But here's the thing. He's talented enough that this is too damn good for Lifetime. This is going to make the big screen. And it's actually a net positive because we're tired of Marvel and DC movies. I'm really excited because I tell you guys a lot of times that when you're on your walk, you can dive into your think tank and you can come up with a lot of amazing solutions for your problems. Now, I want you to pretend like instead of trying to solve legit problems so that your life improves, pretend like you had an enemy or a fetish to commit the perfect crime. What ideas could you come up with while you're on your walks? It's scary. When you read books, you start to develop your reading and comprehension muscles. And what happens is pretty soon when you're halfway through the book, you start to get into the mind of the author and you start to realize what the end game or the end of the book is starting to look like. And at first, when you try to guess, you always get tripped up. And pretty soon you'll find that your favorite books or movies are those ones with that twist at the end, right, ladies? We love that twist. Sean, even us guys, we love that twist because we want to be fooled. Guys, I want you to pretend like this is a movie. This isn't the final chapter of the movie. This is the first couple of chapters. This is where the bad guy lays his trap. His trap is he wants the public to be foiled by actually liking him. Just like I said, the devil's greatest sham was that he led people to believe that he wasn't real. And that's the thing. Pretty soon, people are going to start to wonder, was this guy an alien? Is he even real? How is he so far ahead of our investigators? Because our investigators spend a lot of money, and they didn't even know that China was tapped into our cell phone service. Did you guys know that? Every time somebody on iPhone sends a text message to somebody on an Android device, did you know the Chinese can see that? Every single time. Is that crazy? Our FBI, that according to Christopher Wray is so good, couldn't even keep China from getting into our telephone lines. Our military that spends so much money and is the best in the world wasn't even the first to create that weapon that the Russians have. Maybe the real scam is that all this money is being funneled into the pockets of these people rather than going where it's supposed to be going. And then you start to realize this simulation is awesome, because if it is just a big mystery novel, that's the type of simulation I would have asked for. And then you start to realize, Jesse, what if the world started on your birthday back in 1976? And what if all of this is just a big Truman Show? You see how you can really jump into a lot of weird things when you start to go down the rabbit hole? But here's the thing. I love the entertainment of it all. That's why I invite you to hit subscribe and to hit the thumbs up button and share this video so that in the future, you and your friends can all walk with me. We can all walk together, and hopefully I'll be able to figure out the camera so it doesn't delete my stuff. God, I went through this 45 minutes ago and it literally deleted all my stuff. Unbelievable. Anyway, I love the Venters. Keep moving forward. Keep thinking positive. We're going to figure out who this guy is before the authorities do, damn it. We're going to figure this out. That's why you should read books. If you are a book reader and you got to the point where you could figure out the end, let me know down in the comments, darn it. And also, I want you to let me know that I'm not the only one that thinks this guy might be smart enough to think he might have committed the perfect crime. Because right now, everyone thinks he's the hero, and right now, everybody thinks the actual victim is the bad guy. That's what you call a genius supervillain. I'll see you tomorrow.